Is the market shifting? Well, the NAR just came out with their May 2025 home market trends. What are they seeing? Increased inventory, price cuts, sales are down, but what is no one talking about? What is that 800-pound gorilla in the room? Hi, I'm Claudia at Homes with Claudia, your Real Talk Realtor. If you know me, you know I love my numbers and statistics because numbers don't lie. If this is the first time to the channel, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you are always in the know. So let's get back to the story. What's the big picture here? The big picture is that across the nation, inventory is increasing, which is great news. There's more options for buyers, 31% more inventory across the nation, which is the highest since the beginning of the pandemic, but it's still well below 2019 levels. We're also seeing price cuts, which is good and also welcome for buyers because we all know that buyer affordability has been a huge issue. Buyer activity is down 2.5% nationally and 3% here in Morris County. Doesn't seem like a lot, but you know what? If you compare buyer activity, any kind of decline, to what we've been seeing in the housing market over the last 5 years, there's really no decline in buyer activity. Why are we seeing buyers, standing on the sideline? Well, Lawrence Young, the chief economist over at the National Association of Realtors, he will say that it's the mortgage rates, silly. Well, yes, the mortgage rates are high, but I would say that it's the price of the home. That's what no one wants to talk about. In just the last 5 years, home appreciation has increased 51%. That's 51%, average 10% per year. Now, why is that important? Because the average home appreciation is somewhere between 2 and 5% a year. So from 2012 through 2020, it kind of bumped around between 2 and 5%, depending on seasonality, but it never got out of that window until 2020 hit, and then boom, whoosh, prices went right through the roof, 51%. That's incredible. No wonder buyers are sitting on the sideline. It should take you 20 years to get to that kind of appreciation. It took us 5. No wonder you have buyers sitting on the sideline. It's a massive hit to their affordability. What we're seeing, though, in the marketplace, too, are price cuts. They're up around 20%, as are homes remaining on the market. Again, never saw that in the last 5 years. And I have clients that are saying, you know what, Claudia, I love these homes, but I'm just not paying that price for that house. I'm out. But I will tell you, it still is very much a seller's market. Here in Morris County, there are only 672 homes for sale in the month of May. Okay, big deal, so what? You need to put it in perspective, right? Let's go back to March of 2020. There were 3,387 homes for sale in March of 2020. That's a decline of 80% of homes available for sale in the heart of the home selling season. This is the spring selling season when everybody should be putting their homes on the market and everyone should be out there buying their homes. And we're not seeing that because there's only 672 homes for sale in all of Morris County. We see that by going back to the buyers, now you know why buyers are sitting on the sideline. Sales are down 381 sales in Morris County in May of 2025. Let's see. We haven't seen sales that low in the month of May, again, in the heat of the spring selling season, since 2 time periods, which I think are of interest. One is 2020. Okay, we know 2020 was an anomaly, the pandemic, but that's when home sales were lower than 381 sales in the month of May. And then we don't see that until we go back to the time period between 2009 and 2012. In May of each of those years, home sales were below 381. It's just really interesting because along with the low sales, right, in May, the heat of the spring selling season, we also are seeing that this is the slowest start to the selling season since 2009. So there's a lot of comparisons back to 2009, 2020 time period. I don't know if 1 month makes a trend, but it's just interesting to see how the numbers line up. We'll see how it looks moving forward. moving forward, like I said before, here in Morris County, it still is very much a seller's market with just 1 month of inventory, and home prices are still soaring in some of the markets here. I'm going to just pick out a few that are seeing incredible home appreciation year over year. Mountain Lakes, New Jersey, only 5 homes for sale, seeing 37% home appreciation year over year. Parsippany, 49% home appreciation. Even though we have 59 homes for sale, the proximity to New York City for Parsippany is so desirable that people just scoop up homes in Parsippany as soon as they come on the market. Lincoln Park, 31% appreciation, only 5 homes for sale. Rockaway Township, Bellwether, 24% appreciation with just a slight decline in inventory of 13%. I say slight because some have like 50%, 64% decline in inventory. So me, that's moderate if I compare. But one of the towns that stand out is Kinnelon, New Jersey. And really, as we've been talking about, low inventory, high prices, right? But Kinnelon is defying that trend. Kinnelon has home appreciation down 19% when inventory is also down significantly. So maybe it's just the mix of homes that were sold in the month of May that are bringing the home price down, because Kinnelon has, like many towns, has a wide range of home values. So maybe it's just the mix of homes. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. As we look into the future, what do we see in the second half of 2025? Well, I don't think anybody wants to hear this, but the marketplace, they are saying that interest rates are going to increase. What would happen if the market, if interest rates increase? That would put a big, huge, screeching halt to home sales. If you think that home sales are not affordable now, increase the interest rates to 8% or 7.5%, and you're going to see a significant slowdown in housing sales. Everyone talks on TV about the Fed. Fed wants to do a couple of things, right? Their mandate is to keep short-term interest rates that impact things like credit cards, car loans, the federal debt, anything that is a short-term finance, 2 to 5 years. That's what they control. They keep that rate low, and that's the Fed funds rate, right? So when the Fed says that they want to manage inflation, they want to raise the rate, right? Hopefully people stop buying things when they get too expensive and their interest rate is a little bit higher. But that didn't work because people are still out there maxing out their credit cards, as we know. Even though some buyers are sitting on the sideline, there's still plenty of buyers out there for the few homes that are available on the marketplace. The Fed also has a mandate where they would like to see unemployment rise because they feel that, you know, and it makes sense and it's true. Unfortunately, there's a risk to rising unemployment, as we all know, is that people don't have jobs. And if people don't have jobs, they don't go to restaurants, they don't have disposable income to buy things, vacation. So when people lose their jobs, and we're starting to see that tick up a little bit, then of course you're going to see inflation, the CPI numbers, come down because people aren't going to be buying things. If people aren't buying things because they can't afford them, the idea is that those numbers will come down, right? The cure for high prices is high prices, whether it's houses, cars, eggs. Prices go up, people say, hey, I'm out, and they back out, and before you know it, the prices come down. And that's what we're hoping for. That's what that Fed is hoping for. We saw continued unemployment claims tick higher every month this year. The continued unemployment rate is somewhere around 1.9 million, and last month it was in the 1.8 million. So it's picking up little by little. So I hope that isn't what happens here in the marketplace, but if you keep prices high enough, consumers are going to start rejecting those high prices. When that inventory starts to build up, then people will start to reduce their prices. Home sellers will reduce their prices, manufacturers will reduce their prices. But in the case of the interest rates, as they relate to housing, those are tied to the 10-year bond. If CPI comes down, inflation comes down, then mortgage rates will also come down. But what I find interesting is that just because the interest rates come down, it's not only buyer focused. Lawrence Young, the chief economist over at the NAR, he's all focused on the buyer. He's saying that mortgage rates come down, it's great for the buyers, and then there's other experts out there that say that low mortgage rates are going to start the whole inflationary cycle all over again. But I don't think so. Because if you have low interest rates, if you go back to other conversations, and again, I live and breathe this all the time, and I love all the articles and read them, there's sellers that are sitting on the sideline too. They want to sell their house, but they don't want to give up their interest rate. So if the interest rate goes down to something that's agreeable to them, somewhere in the 5s maybe, or lower, their lives have moved on. Maybe they bought a starter home in the last few years. They've gotten some equity in that home, and now they have children. They need a bigger house, or maybe their kids have gone and they need a smaller house. So I think that with lower interest rates, you're going to unlock a lot of sellers who will now put their homes on the market, get themselves out there in the marketplace, more homes on the market, more choices for buyers. Let's just hope that the buyers are employed so that they can still get a loan and purchase these houses, and sellers can move on with their life too. Because at the end of the day, homeownership is still really the American dream. And my goal is to help people achieve that dream and find that place that they can call home. So if you'd like to know what's going on in your neighborhood, my name's Claudia. And as you know, I'm Homes with Claudia, the Real Talk Realtor. And remember, who you work with matters. Call me. Love to come and see you. Ciao for now.